imagine a giant game of catch, but instead of a ball, you're catching tons and tons of food, medicine, and even candy. That's what the Berlin Airlift was all about. Back in 1948, after World War II, things were tense between the countries that had just fought each other. Germany, especially Berlin, was split in two, like slices of pie. On one side lived people who got along with the United States, Britain, and France, called the Western Allies. On the other side lived folks who were friends with the Soviet Union. Suddenly, the Soviet Union decided to play a mean trick on West Berlin. They built a giant wall, not with bricks, but by blocking all roads, trains, and boats that could bring food, medicine, and other stuff the city needed. Over 2 million people in West Berlin were stuck like a houseplant with no water. The Western Allies knew they had to help. But how do you get supplies to a city when all the normal ways are blocked? That's where the amazing Berlin Airlift comes in. Think of it as the biggest, coolest game of catch ever played. Instead of throwing a ball, they used airplanes, lots and lots of airplanes. On June 26, 1948, just 2 days after the mean wall went up, the skies over Berlin roared to life. Cargo planes, like big friendly metal birds, took off on a non-stop mission. These weren't your typical airplanes. They were workhorses called C-47 Skytrains and sleek British Yorks. Their job? To become Berlin's lifeline, carrying everything the city needed to survive. Food to fill empty bellies, coal to keep homes warm in the winter, and medicine to fight off sickness. The first few days were a total scramble. Airfields buzzed with activity as mechanics worked hard to get the planes ready for their non-stop flights. Pilots, both experienced veterans and eager newbies, knew the responsibility was huge. They had to fly through all kinds of crazy weather, like thick fog and bumpy storms, all while hoping their plane wouldn't break down. But with teamwork and grit, the airlift kept growing. At its busiest time, a plane landed in Berlin every 45 seconds. That's faster than you can count to 10. Can you imagine all the stuff they had to fly in? Over 2.3 million tons of cargo, enough to fill a train that could stretch from Berlin all the way to China. Most of it was coal, the fuel that kept homes warm and lights shining. But the airlift wasn't just about grown-up stuff. The pilots knew how tough things were for Berlin's kids, so they did something extra special. They started dropping tiny parachutes with candy attached. It was like a sweet surprise from the sky, earning them the awesome nickname Candy Bombers. Over 23,000 tons of candy, that's like a swimming pool filled with sugar, rained down on Berlin, bringing smiles to many worried faces. The Berlin Airlift wasn't just about delivering stuff, it was about sending a message. It showed the world that the Western Allies wouldn't back down from bullies. It was like a giant "We care" sign written across the sky. This amazing teamwork also helped create a super important group called NATO, whose job would be to stop the Soviet Union from picking on anyone else. Sadly, not everyone made it home safely. Over 100 pilots and crew members lost their lives in crashes or accidents. We remember them for their bravery and for keeping the airlift going. The people of West Berlin faced hard times too. Food was rationed, meaning they only got a little bit each day. They also had to get used to the loud airplanes constantly flying overhead. But even through the tough times, the Berliners never gave up. They knew the airlift was a sign of hope, and they showed amazing spirit. They cheered and waved flags as the planes landed, forming a strong bond with the pilots who kept them going. This spirit, along with the incredible teamwork of the airlift, helped Berliners hold on until things got better. Finally, in May 1949, the Soviet Union decided to take down their mean wall. The airlift continued for a few more months to restock everything, officially ending in September. The skies over Berlin, once a reminder of tension, became a symbol of hope and cooperation. The Berlin Airlift is a super cool story about courage, resilience, and the power of people working together, even when things seem impossible. It reminds us that even the biggest problems can be solved with teamwork, a little bit of candy, and a whole lot of hope.